Hey everybody, I'm Asian Funk. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm joined by a super awesome guest. You've heard him in numerous video games, movies, and TV shows. Voice actor and author James C. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm very happy to be here.
Have you done a lot of these virtual interviews?
No, not a lot at all. No.
Really?
I guess I'm somewhat of an introvert. And
here.
so which is why voiceover is so great, because you get to be creative, you get to create characters, but you don't have to worry about
Yeah.
the interaction, about having to meet a lot of people, having to look a certain way.
Yeah.
So, and especially now during the pandemic, where so much of voiceover is done at home. I mean,
Right.
mostly I would have been at the studios.
Mm-hmm.
But since the pandemic started, they were really looking for people who had setups.
Yeah.
And for a while, until it's safe, uh, a lot of voiceover people are sticking to their home studios because it's the safest way you can record.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So in a way, voiceover is like the perfect acting medium for me. It's completely anonymous. I've been approached more, especially now, because the Cabbage Merchant has seemed to have like this Cabbage renaissance of people seeing Avatar and then
Yeah.
getting introduced to him. So there's been more interest, and maybe I'll do it. It takes me a long time to commit to something like that.
Sure. So this virtual interview is like your ideal situation where you're in your comfort zone,
Exactly.
talking to somebody through the computer.
And they could snip out whatever is, awkward or.
That's right. So do most people who come up to you, are they coming up to you because you're the Cabbage Merchant, or is that like the character that people are like, this character saved my life, or this character changed my life, or whatever?
No, it doesn't. It's not quite changing your life. I mean, I think the thing about the Cabbage Merchant that makes him so popular is, in that show, which is so full of complexity and deep, strong emotions, the Cabbage Merchant is like this pure comic bit. And it's almost like a release, So
Mhm.
no, I would say that people. I once spoke to a group of kids for at Cal Arts,
Oh,
and it was for a writing project. But I introduced myself as someone who does voiceover, and I mentioned Jackie Chan.
yep.
And there was like oh, okay, and then I mentioned Monkey from Kung Fu Panda,
Yep.
Legends of Awesomeness, and there was like a little bit of a stronger
Building up.
reaction.
Yep.
And then I said, oh, and I do the Cabbage Merchant, and like the whole room went like crazy. They're, oh my God, the Cabbage Merchant, which is crazy because I say basically two words
Yeah.
many times.
Right.
Yet that's the thing that,
Yeah.
What do you like about the Cabbage Merchant so much?
I think it's because he's become like a Where's Waldo character, like, and it's funny because I don't think I really noticed, I didn't really pick up on the character until towards the end, towards like season 3, where I was like, okay, where is this guy? He's going to be a main character. I think a part of me really wanted you to be like part of the crew,
I'm like the pepper.
Yeah, exactly. But the fandom for the character makes it seem like he is everywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, I think they were really smart, because if he was in more episodes, you'd kind of get used to him.
Yeah.
But in this way, you haven't seen him for many episodes, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, there he is.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm almost positive that they really didn't mean for him to be anything.
Yeah.
Like when I did what was the King of Omashu, that was his first appearance.
Yes.
You could tell he had an arc. Like he got his cabbages wrecked, then he got to talk in front of the king.
Yes.
Which is the most Cabbage Merchant of any, episode.
Right.
And I think they enjoyed him having this little arc. And then I don't know, I think something sparked where they just thought, oh, what can we do? Oh, let's bring in a cabbage merchant, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a very, I think it was a pretty spontaneous thing. No one ever told me, well, you know, you're going to be coming back. You know, I
Yeah,
had,
yeah, yeah. I feel like they use that character to make the world feel more connected, right?
right,
Because he's only one of the few like reoccurring characters that makes you feel like, oh, this world is it's you know, they spend all the time saying that the world is large, but I
right,
feel like that character makes the world feel smaller in a good way.
right. Because he's one of the few that travel between
Travels,
different
yes.
lands.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it actually worked that way in a little aside for Korra, where, um, oh, you know, there's a continuity not only of
Yes,
land,
that's
but
it.
of
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
So, you
What
know,
would did they so how did you even get involved with the show? Like, did they say, okay, we have a character in mind, he's a vendor, you know, or did they like have this huge fleshed out description of this
no,
cabbage merchant?
absolutely. It was just a completely supporting character. It was, I think, uh, Guard One, Cabbage. He might not have even been called Cabbage Merchant. He could have been just called Merchant.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so actually, if you watch that, I am the I am the guard who interrogates the Cabbage Merchant and and and
No.
forces them away. Yeah, so that's me as well.
That's hilarious. That is amazing.
So yeah, it was just another supporting character. It wasn't anything
Mhm.
highlighted or anything. So
When you're creating a voice for multiple characters in the same world,
yeah,
what do you do to make sure that one, people don't recognize it's you, and two, you know, how do you make it sound unique enough so that they're two different characters?
sure. And you really have to think about that when you are doing voiceover. Um, for they're allowed to like ask you to do two
It's
characters.
especially in the same scene.
Oh well, in the same scene, that's
Yeah,
even more.
yeah.
That's even a little more tricky. But they often are going to ask you to do more than one character per episode, just
Mhm.
efficiency wise and
Yeah.
economically. If you're allowed to have someone do two characters for the same price, you're going to want to use them. You know.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Um, okay, I know that I'll go in a lower register here and I'll go in a higher register here. There's a certain uh,
Mm.
tonal quality or a certain speed. Some character can be, you know, very, very quick and there's a lot of hesitations there. And then you've got the more generic, you know, guard kind
Mhm.
of thing. So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
very used to having your stock characters of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
guard, the policeman, because those are the side characters in the world that the director doesn't even assign until maybe that day, and they'll be
Mm.
like, okay, he's playing the cabbage merchant. Um, let's do it. Let's have him do the guard too.
I
So
see.
because they're so small, they're not going to audition people to play guard three
Right,
or
right.
sentry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Especially if they only have one or two lines.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're just gonna like, okay, we liked him for the cabbage merchant. Let's just have him be a guard because there can be such a difference in voice quality between the two.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that makes sense. Yeah, I was just always curious. What do you do? I guess one, what do you do to keep your voice in good shape for voice acting? Because you know, it's a muscle, and I'm assuming it gets tired at some point.
yeah,
What do you do to keep it in shape, and how do you get into the zone? You know, like when they're asking you to create a voice, right,
mm,
with very little direction.
right,
What kind of questions do you ask?
sure. Well, first off, how to keep your voice. This is like the number one thing. Just drink a lot of water.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
Oh yeah, because water hydrates you. It, you know, it soothes down there. Um,
Mm,
Towards the end of the session,
okay.
you can start sound. Yeah, drink some water. Here, we'll
Hmm.
drink together. There you go.
Yeah. Cheers. Mm.
It hydrates you, and if you're doing a lot of screaming and yelling, or if you're doing something that's, you know, very high here, you're going to tend to get raspy.
Mm.
So you have to warm up, especially if you know that you're going to have that kind of day.
Yeah.
Drink a lot of water and just kind of protect your voice. I mean, I actually went to school for theater in college, so there's a lot of, how to support yourself, how to sound like you're shouting but not completely trash your voice.
Right. Right.
And then as far as creating different voices for one episode, usually you do work with the director, the voice director, and they'll say, okay, do the line, and you'll do it, and they'll say, okay, can you make him a little younger? Can you make him a little older? Why don't we get something down here? Just make him 10 years older. And so you do that, and then they like it, and you record the one character's lines.
Mm.
And then when you get to the second character, they're listening and they're saying, yeah, that sounds a little too much like that first one. Could you pitch him up a little bit? Or can you give him a little texture? And texture is, just something in here that just makes you sound a little different versus something very pure, So it's a lot of just kind of knowing speed, tone, where you are in your voice, lower register, upper register, and just kind of being able to access those things quickly. You don't have a lot of time to figure it out. You're not like spending the night thinking about it, because sometimes they'll give you a character on the fly. They're
Right.
like, oh, you know what? We have this little boy in page 32. You want to crack at that? So then you give them your little boy, and if they like it, they'll use it. And if they don't, they'll just ask somebody else. So
Yeah.
these little side characters are very flexible and fluid, and maybe they'll have a couple of people try it. And this is this is a little gets a little nerve-wracking, but sometimes when you're doing a group record,
Yeah.
they'll say, James, could you do try a hand at Demon One. So you do Demon One, whatever. And then they're like, okay, Kari, why don't you try Demon One? And then Kari does Demon One. And so they just kind of like, oh yes, that works best in the scene, that tone or that tone. So you just have to be ready, but you also you have to be ready to let it go, to not feel like, oh my God, I'm horrible because
Right.
I didn't get to do Demon One,
So then once you figure out a voice, or someone says that's the voice, how do you remember?
Oh,
Like,
from time to time.
yeah, how do you remember to go back to that voice? Like, do you write it down? Because, I don't know how I would remember how I did, police officer number 7 in the cave if they said, oh, we want that character comes back, right? Like, what?
It's really easy because, and because so many voice actors do so many parts, they're going from show to show to show.
Yeah.
They won't remember. So they usually have they have a sample. So they
Oh,
say, to the engineer, do we have a sample of Demon Number One? Okay, can you play that for James? And they'll play those lines and I'll listen to it and then find the voice again. So
Yeah.
usually
Okay.
they always do that because it is hard.
Yeah. I was just like, how do you remember all the voices you've done? That's been bothering me for so long, especially if it's like a character you did like years and years ago, right?
Right. Right.
And
Or
then,
if they're bringing you back, after a season,
yeah,
then you're like, oh, I was that guy in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Wait, did he have a low voice? Did he have a high voice? But
right.
they'll always have a sample for you.
Got it.
That's part of their prep before you come in.
Yeah.
Is there a sample of what you're doing? And then, yeah. Or sometimes they'll even pull up your audition. So if you're coming in for a new record, but you can't remember what you did, so long ago during the audition, which could have been months before.
Yeah.
They'll pull up your audition and they're like, we like this take of it. Like if you've done 2 takes, we like that first take.
Right.
Let's put him in that arena.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So then what
So,
happens when, like, for example, for the Jackie Chan adventures, right? What happens when you have to do a voice or an
yeah,
imitation of somebody that exists already, right? Like, is that challenging to try to emulate a voice but not be that voice?
it's well, it's a process, right? In the beginning, they said we need a Jackie Chan voice alike, and I
Right.
had never done voiceover before.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so I just kept watching Rush Hour over and over and over again,
That's
getting those
interesting.
lines, finding a line that will keep me, look at the picture, look at the picture. That's
Oh,
that
that's
like
good.
that. I remember that line of his, and he's showing the picture of the little girl,
Yeah.
and I would just say that over and over again. But at a certain point, as you do the show and say lines that are not things that Jackie Chan has ever said,
Yeah.
you keep what you remember from his voice, but it starts to merge with your sensibilities as an actor.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so what comes out is something that sounds like Jackie Chan, but then also has your particular humor or
Yeah.
the way you might say a line. Uh, and I mean, I've done so. There's a difference between uh, a voice alike, like I've done um, characters who or like from movies who and they need a line or two to fit in there
Hmm.
to make it sound exactly like that
Yeah.
character,
Yeah.
that actor. So that's different because then you really have to match. And someone that has the same, they'll say, we're not looking for a voice alike. We're looking for someone who can give that tone or that energy.
Hmm.
So, for Jackie, it's kind of like, you just have to think of the movies and that kind of frantic, wah, kind of
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
right? The but day, and that really kind of
Yeah.
fuels you,
That's
and it gives you that character,
right. Right.
you know.
That's really interesting. Yeah, because you did it for you did him more than once in more than just the show. You did him in a movie, like you did him in Kung Fu Panda, right? He had to do the monkey, which was
Yeah,
also done by Jackie Chan.
right. Well, and that was difficult because if you watch the first Kung Fu Panda, there was he hardly had any lines. So,
Right.
you were just listening to three lines, but you also have to remember that it's Jackie, but it's Jackie doing monkey.
Correct.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? So just to try to throw in Jackie is different than what is he giving to monkey? Is there a certain laugh? Is there a certain
Mm.
um, mischievous quality that maybe he doesn't have just as Jackie?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Huh.
you know, and so with monkey, you have a lot more latitude to go somewhere because he didn't have a lot of lines in the original anyway,
Right. Right.
you know. So that was
Huh.
a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're basically what you're saying is they have a library of your voice just going like, huh, and like, all the
Oh,
sound effects of like action, right? Like they just did like, what happens when someone says, "Oh, we need you to make a sound for like falling"?
oh,
Like,
that's like your stock and trade as a voiceover person,
really?
especially for, if you think of video games
Yeah.
where there's so much death and killing. So you'll have a whole page of falling short, falling long, falling medium, stabbed, choked quick, choked medium, death rattle short, death rattle long. And
Huh.
you just have to they do that at the end because you just kind of completely, tear out your throat doing,
Oh, that's
you
smart.
know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
many deaths. Um, with Jackie Chan, I mean, this is the first time I had done voiceover, and that was one of the best parts because there was so much action in Jackie Chan
Right.
adventure. And so it would say he climbs up the wall, jumps over the tree, lands, and does two punches, right? And so for me, it was so exciting to do that. And they'd be like, "Oh, you did it all," because some people need to like just do one at a time.
Right. Right.
But I always like to do the whole series of actions, and that was so exciting to be able to kind of imagine what that sounded like.
Did they show? I mean, I'm assuming they showed you the scene, like they really. So you didn't even
Okay.
get to see what was happening. You had to.
No. So with most animation, you've got a script. You record just reading the script, right? Then they take that track and they animate to the track. So they hear what you're doing and they animate it. Then when they're animating it, they realize, oh, we need a bigger punch, or he needs to yell louder because he's now 20 feet away, not 10.
Mm-hmm.
So then you do what's called ADR, and you come back in, and then you're watching the show.
Gotcha.
And they give you little beeps, and then you add the punch, or you re-record the line. So it's, yeah, most people, I think that's a really, really common misconception, is that you're watching a completed animatic and you are following that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
usually it's the voice, it's the script, the voice, and then the animation. When you are part of a ensemble, like, and you're a recurring character, sometimes they will ask you for, just give us 20 laughs, or give us 10 kicks or punches, right? Just so they could plug it in.
Yeah.
But usually during the record, they'll have you do all of the action fresh, because there might be some nuance to it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they have you there, so they might as well have you do all of those things. So the library is there in case they need to plug in something. Right. And those are the questions you ask. How old is this guy? How do you want him to be a big guy? Do you want him to be a skinny guy? And if you're lucky and it's a big enough character, they'll have a sketch for you, like you know, just a picture of what he looks like. So you can kind of, you know, figure out how you want that person to sound.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? But for a lot of, especially when they're smaller parts, you just know scared porcupine, or you know, thug.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you just have to kind of make it your own.
Yeah.
Have a few choices, and then they'll choose.
Interesting. So
you know?
then,
So it's all about being prepared, but also being super flexible.
do you think it's more challenging when you get too much direction, or when they give you almost complete freedom to just make up a voice? I mean, I'm assuming you've had both those instances where
you're right. There's a sweet spot between giving you enough direction to find it, but not too much so that it stifles your creativity. If they give you too much, you know, very granular detail about what they want, you start to just parrot back what they're giving you, versus synthesizing it in your head and creating your own character. So there is definitely a balance between too much and not enough.
I thought that I'd never heard of your voice before, but when I looked at your credits and saw that you did like the Jackie Chan adventures, I was like, I've heard, you know, it's crazy to find out that I've already heard your voice years ago and didn't even realize it. So that's always a fun thing.
Did you watch?
I did, yeah. And I actually thought it was Jackie Chan's voice in the show. So, I mean, granted, I was younger, but
yeah, the whole when I first started it, they were thinking that maybe Jackie could do most of it, and that I could just kind of fill in for little parts. But he was so busy, and also it was difficult. He was able to speak pretty well extemporaneously, but to do dialogue, lots and lots of dialogue like Jackie had, was really difficult for him, and to be able to do it clearly enough. So eventually they realized they were going to need somebody to actually play the part. But for the first season, I think most people didn't know that it was me. They thought it was Jackie.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. Fooled me.
That's kind of, you know, because I think the producers just wanted to create that magic that it was Jackie doing it.
Right. Right. So yeah, I mean, you did perfectly. So it worked. Uh,
The most exciting part about doing that was the very first day. It's my first job voiceover. I'm very nervous. It's the show that has my name. I'm playing the title character,
yeah.
and the voice director Sue Blue said, "Oh, here's this character. He's a dragon demon called Shendu. Um, James, you want to give it a go?" And I was just like so excited, but so you just had to kind of come up with something on the fly. And I can't believe that I got to play Jackie and his adversary in one series. It was just,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was great.
Right. I mean, it's like at that point, they might as well just have you do all the voices, right? Like, just do the voices for all the characters.
So like one of the best episodes for me was it was about the tiger talisman, and the tiger talisman gets cut in two, and Jackie is holding them, and he becomes Jackie Light and Jackie Dark.
That's right. That's right.
So I got to play two versions of Jackie, the demon, and the henchman Chow. So it was like Christmas Day. That was so fun.
That's hilarious. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. That's so funny. That must have been really awesome. Like, you come in and there's like, okay, we want you to play an evil Jackie Chan. And you're like, okay, I can do that.
Yes. It was really fun. And the funny thing was when in Kung Fu Panda, Legends of Awesomeness, there was an episode where Monkey has his brother, Sun Wukong, who's like the bad monkey, and they have a big fight, and everybody thinks it's Monkey doing the bad things, but it's actually his brother. So that reminded me of the Jackie Chan show, of getting to play, two parts of the same person.
That's so funny. I didn't realize that you and Jackie Chan have such like an integral history, that's hilarious. I didn't even.
Thank God. He's like my patron saint,
Have you ever
altar for him?
Have you ever met him?
No, everybody asks me that. Never
Really?
got to.
Oh.
No, he wasn't in the States during most of the record, or when he came in, we weren't recording. So no, I've never got to meet him.
It's okay.
Maybe
I haven't met
day.
him either, so.
I think that they're going to be doing another Jackie Chan Adventures.
No.
I think I've heard rumors that he wants to start a new one. It's not going to be about talismans and his niece or anything.
It's not like a follow-up or like it's not like a spin-off or anything.
No. Though I think Jade should have her own show. She should definitely have her own.
Yeah. And then she's all grown up, right? Like she would be like what, in her 20s by now?
Right.
Like, yeah. And then you could play old Jackie.
Would you be like Uncle?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Even better. Oh man. Okay. If someone comes up with, I like this. Yeah. And I'll play Jade's love interest.
There you go. And then Jackie could say things like, one more thing.
Yeah. Right.
Magic must defeat magic.
Right. And then the demon's back too, right? And then somehow he has to team up with Jackie to beat some other force, and that makes Jackie young again for like a day. I'm just coming up with ideas. Anyway.
You should get your resume in there. You could write the show.
I know. I need to get. I have too many ideas in my head, but I enjoy talking to people too much. Okay. James, do you have time? Do you have time for a game?
Okay. What?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to share my screen with you.
Okay.
It's really easy. Don't worry. Okay.
Oh God. Okay.
So the name of this game is
That's
called
so great.
Name That Cabbage with James C.
Are these going to be real cabbages?
Just hold your horses, James. There's no rush. Okay.
All right. All right.
All right.
All
So these are going to be various questions having to do with.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So first question: what was the very last line of dialogue that you spoke as the Cabbage Merchant on Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Is this a trick question? Because you'd think it would be my cabbages, but was it? Oh, never mind. It was my cabbages.
It was very close.
Oh, forget it. Oh, forget it. Close enough. Come
Close
on.
enough. I'll give you
me
that
half
one.
Credit.
I'll give you that one. No, that was.
Forget it.
I I actually was surprised by that myself. I was like, because you would think, right? The very last thing you would say would be cabbages, but it's not.
Right.
Okay, great. That's awesome.
Wow,
I thought I
see?
was going to stump you with that one. Ah, okay. Are you ready for the next one?
Forget. Yes.
How many times did you say the word cabbage on the show? Now, this is a trick question.
Are you gonna give me a range? Are you gonna give me a multiple choice?
Okay, I'll give you a hint. It's less than 10.
Okay.
Which is surprising.
Really? Yeah. 8? What? Let's see.
6.5 times.
6.5 times. Wow.
Yeah, because
really,
your last line of dialogue, you didn't actually finish the word cabbage. You stopped halfway. So that would have been the 7th time.
You're really doing some deep cuts here, Mark.
Thank you.
I do like to cook, so maybe I would have done better with the cabbages.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, lucky for you. How many different varieties of cabbages are there?
Oh my gosh, look at that. Who is that?
It's not me.
1, 2.
Oh, sorry. The picture has nothing to do with the question. It's sorry.
No,
the question is how many varieties of cabbages are there in the world?
In the world.
Do you want a hint?
I'm gonna say 12. My cred is really going down. Mark.
400.
You've people 400? Really? Okay. In my defense, the Cabbage Merchant sold a very specific variety of cabbage, and he did not love the other varieties of cabbage. He was really focused on one. So that's so I studied the one, but I really didn't open myself up to the world. So sorry about that.
No. Don't apologize. I don't think anyone could have guessed that. All right. Are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
All right. Name this cabbage.
Bok choy. Baby bok choy.
Let's see.
No?
You're right.
It looks like bok choy.
All right. That was just a warm-up.
There's a restaurant called Din Tai Fung in Los Angeles that has really good bok choy.
What was it called?
It's a soup noodle. No, it's a soup dumpling restaurant called Din Tai Fung.
Oh, okay.
They've got they've got in Monterey and Alhambra, Los Angeles. It's amazing food, and they've got great bok choy. So
interesting. Okay.
And I'm not being paid to endorse them.
No. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
All right. Are you ready for the next one?
Yes. I'm getting hungry though. So
name this cabbage.
Isn't it your garden variety green cabbage?
It's a Brussels sprout.
No. Oh my gosh. You're right. Well, you know what? I don't have my glasses on, so let's see.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Brussels sprout.
Yeah, of course. I didn't even know Brussels sprouts were a cabbage.
They're little baby cabbages. They're little cabbages.
Okay. Are you ready for the next one?
My cabbages. Yes.
All right. Name this cabbage.
Well, that's the green cabbage, right?
Is that your final answer?
Ugh, ugh. I would have studied harder. Yeah. Go
It's a
ahead. I wanna
cannonball
know.
cabbage.
Oh, I love that. That makes so much sense. It's like a projectile.
Yeah. All right. I learned a
Nice.
lot putting this
Cannonball
together, so
cabbage.
don't feel bad.
I have learned a lot too, Mark. I've learned a lot.
All right. Name this cabbage.
Cauliflower. It's a
Got it.
cauliflower.
You got it.
Well, I don't get many points for that one.
No. I mean, okay. Are you ready?
What do you know? What class of vegetables these all are?
What class of vegetable? I'm asking the questions here.
I want extra credit.
Okay. What class of vegetable is it, James?
They're cruciferous vegetables, and they're very good. Yeah, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbages. They're called cruciferous vegetables, and they're really good for your heart. So there.
Okay. All right. I am not doubting that you are a cabbage expert. I've never questioned that. There's 400 varieties.
Oh,
There's no way you can know them all.
Oh wait, I gotta put my glasses on. Kale.
I think
it's
you
curly
got it.
kale, right?
Got it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do I win anything?
No, maybe some cabbage.
I'll take it. Kimchi, which is not. It's not a cabbage. It's a preparation of cabbage.
Actually, it's Napa cabbage.
Oh, it's the Napa. Okay. Yes, you're right.
I didn't realize I put so many cabbage
I
photos
just
in
say
this.
green. Green, please.
You were close.
Okay, I'm leaving. Too late.
Oh, I'm done. Okay.
I'm gonna have to resign. I'm gonna have to resign.
No. No, thank you for playing. I really appreciate you taking the time to guess these cabbages. Let me stop sharing really quick. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. It's been a real pleasure and an honor to speak with you and to learn a little bit about your experiences and a little bit more about the characters you've done. Do you want to promote anything? Do you want to tell people where they can follow your work?
Thank you for humiliating me on the air. My website is seaworld.com, and it's
That's
spelled
a great name.
SIE World. Thank you. And I'm playing my third, or I'm in my, wait, am I? I'm doing my third panda related show.
That's right.
So after Hungry Panda and playing Terran Zoo in the World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a very wise panda, a wise Zen panda on Apple TV starting December 4th. There's a new series called Stillwater for young kids, and it's really great. It's a great, very calm but wise show, and it's exactly what we need in these chaotic times. Something to kind of settle us and ground us. I encourage you all to watch Stillwater on Apple TV.
Thank you so much, James. I appreciate having you here. I hope I get to talk to you again soon once the show's out.
Fun. And I will study up on my cabbages. I promise.
I will not be doing another cabbage quiz ever again.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.